Welcome to Fostering Solutions, a podcast that uplifts people and enterprises making positive impact in communities around the world. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Foster. My guest today is Kezia Campbell-Erskine. Kezia, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Dr. Foster. How are you?
Great. It's wonderful to have you in Fostering Solutions, all the way from Guyana. How are things going in Guyana right now?
Things are going pretty well. There's a lot happening, a lot to look forward to.
Yes. The country's been going through some changes. Yes, Kezia and I are Guyanese by birth, and we actually went to the same high school in Guyana, Queen's College. She was a few years behind me, but all the same, we walked the same halls. So it's good to have her on Fostering Solutions with me. So tell the audience about yourself, Kezia. Who is Kezia Campbell-Erskine?
Well, as you mentioned, I was born and raised in Guyana, and I come from a very small, closely knit family. As a child, I was always very keen to help others, and I showed great empathy. And I guess it was no surprise for most persons who knew me when I chose to pursue a career in law. It was a surprise to me. I made the decision at 19, and this was diverting from the path of natural sciences, where I initially wanted to pursue a career in medicine. But after I decided on law, I just did not look back. I was educated at the University of Guyana, secured a spot at the Hugh Wooding Law School. After I finished my undergrad, I went on to the Hugh Wooding Law School in Trinidad and Tobago to pursue my legal education certificate, which allows me to be admitted to the bar in Guyana and the rest of the English-speaking Caribbean. Once I was done and I got admitted in 2018, I was sure that I wanted to pursue a career in public international law. And this was primarily driven by a desire to contribute to development of Guyana and small states like Guyana. So I entered the public service, and today I am the head of a legal division in a government agency. My work ranges from, on a given day, I can do anything related to from treaties law, maritime law, nuclear law, to law of the sea. It's very diverse, and that's one of the things I love most about it. I'm a wife. I am the daughter and sister that everybody calls on their best day and their worst day. And I'm the friend who's always willing to tell you the things that you need to hear.
That's always good to have some of those in your corner. Yes. So now you're working, and you've been studying. Now you're working in your legal career. What has that journey been like so far? Any challenges you had to overcome in your journey as an attorney?
There have been many. I guess the primary one that comes to mind is, I was raised by my mom. I have two siblings. I'm the middle child. And I've always had very big dreams, very big goals. My mom would always say, go for it, we'll find a way. But oftentimes they were so big that they came at huge cost. And that was always one hurdle that confronted me. How do I fund this? How do I not add another burden to my mom? And, when it was time for me to head into the Hugh Wooding Law School, my tuition was a huge sum that we could not afford. And, it took a lot of prayer, a lot of resourcefulness to find funding. I was able to get a full scholarship. Awesome. And my mom was really instrumental in guiding me along, pointing me to the right persons, helping me, pen letters to get support and so on. After I've been out for about 4 years, I was into practice, and I decided I wanted to do a master's degree. But the field I wanted to do was energy and environmental law, which I could not do in the Caribbean. So again, I needed to decide, how do I fund studies in the United Kingdom, where I found the perfect program. So I was looking at a few options, self-funding, loans, what can I do? And again, I came across a really good scholarship program that afforded me the opportunity to go. But that particular challenge has really taught me the importance of resourcefulness, the importance of research, and that there's always a way. It doesn't really matter how hard something seems, there's always a way around it. And those experiences really affirm to me that I am on the right path. I am where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I've been called to do. In addition to that, I've really had to work on, from being a young girl to coming up to assuming leadership at a young age, building my confidence. I was very shy. I would speak when I have to, when I really, really need to, but other than that, I would be in a corner with all of my thoughts. And to be successful in this career, confidence and boldness are very critical. So I've had to, over the years, work on that. Some of the lessons were a bit hard, but I've learned them along the way. And, as a young leader, I think most people in my situation are confronted with the fact that you're not often seen, because of your age is seen as a limitation. And I've had to deal with that in several circumstances. And I've really learned to affirm myself. I've worked very hard to prove competence and to prove that there's a lot of wisdom in youth. And, I guess I could say I've been able to gain the respect of a lot of my senior peers because of that.
Yeah, I hear a lot of themes there. I hear faith, I hear vision, and just, that a lot of that resonates with me, especially being quiet and reserved too, and really having to push yourself forward. I see a lot of myself in that, and it reminds me of the visioning part is really reminds me that God will make provision when he gives the vision. So that came to mind as you said that. That's awesome. And that your mom is right there encouraging you. That's wonderful. So you recently got back to Guyana after a year in Britain, in Great Britain, where you were a Chevening Scholar. Tell me about that program. What was that experience like?
The Chevening Scholarship Scheme is one of the most prestigious schemes in the world and one of the most competitive ones. I've heard about it several years ago, and it's only for postgrad studies. So I knew once I was done with my undergrad, this is something I had on my radar. Chevening, however, looks for a specific profile of persons. They look for leaders in their communities, leaders in their countries, persons who can effect positive change. So for me, I was more or less sizing up to determine when was the best time to do this application, because I knew this is what I wanted to do. Because the program has a really balanced focus on academic pursuits, but also the development of the person. You're able to do training, personal development training, networking, and mentorship schemes. So I really wanted Chevening. So after being, practicing law for about 2 years, I decided this was a good time to apply. I was successful in the year. I applied for 2021 to 2022, and there were only 5 Guyanese chosen. And, it was really a remarkable experience. I opted to go to University of Aberdeen in Scotland. And one of the main reasons is I wanted to get away from England. I'd been there. I knew that the majority of persons would have chosen England, and I felt that Scotland was quite underrated. So I went to Scotland. I was one of probably 4 Caribbean Cheveners who went to Scotland. Everybody else, most persons chose England. And I really don't regret the decision. Aberdeen was an amazing city, and Scotland was simply breathtaking. I think for a lot of Caribbean persons, because they have maintained so much of the natural environment, it really felt a little bit like home. Not the weather. It looked like home, but it did not feel like home. So I really enjoyed, just taking a year to focus on myself, to pursue a Master of Laws, to do some exploration. It allowed me to form some very formidable bonds with colleagues from the Caribbean, from North America and Europe. And I guess one of the things I really held close to me was also the ability to share the experience with my loved ones. My husband visited twice and my mom came towards the end. So being able to share that with them really means a lot to me.
Wow, sounds like a wonderful experience. So how big was the program? How many scholars were in your cohort?
We had about 1,600 from
Oh, wow.
the world, but that was less than 10% of the persons who actually applied.
Oh, wow. So very competitive.
It's
awesome. You must, I guess they must think you're special that you got in. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. When I first met you, you were leading a literacy initiative in Guyana. Tell the audience what that was about. How did it, originate, and what's the current status of that program?
Yeah, so this was actually a really nice program started by some colleagues who went to my high school, Queen's College. It was a literacy and numeracy improvement program that was executed through a youth-led organization in Guyana called the Benap Foundation. And the aim was so we targeted a few schools in the capital city during the summer. It was executed for a few years. And we would work with children identified by their school as needing special help or special tuition in math and English to more or less prepare them for the new school, the new academic year. And we were driven by our volunteers. We had volunteers, many of them who were university students, some were recent graduates who gave up their time to really help these children. We provided meals for the children and everything that they needed to participate in the program. And it was something we really enjoyed and saw a lot of good results from. However, it's no longer in operation, unfortunately. And that's primarily because it was youth-led, and a lot of those young people have moved on to do different things. We have some who are now medical doctors, some who are attorneys. We have one person who is now in politics. So I wouldn't say it has been discontinued. I would, to be on the safe side, say that there has been, I guess, a pause. But I would not be surprised to see it resuscitated or done on a larger scale, maybe form part of a policy at some point.
Yeah, that's great. Let's kind of talk about that, because you never know what we can reignite. Because my road dogs, Karen and Saren, we plan to be in. Now Saren is there all the time, but Karen and I plan to go to visit Guyana next year, and you never know. Let's talk to see what we can maybe revive some aspects of it, because I have an interest also. Like my mom's family was from Belladrum on the West Coast, so I always have a heart for that area, and my dad's family was from New Amsterdam, so.
Oh,
The Berbice is a special place for me. So we need to figure out maybe if we can revive some of that. I thought it was a very, very valuable initiative, very beneficial.
like a plan. Let's speak.
Yeah, yes. So you are a leader. You were a leader for as a youth. What do you think are some keys to effective leadership?
I think it first starts with understanding, what is your role as a leader? I think a lot of persons get caught up with the title, forgetting that leadership is first about service. And leadership has to be people-driven. The first and the primary concern has to be, how do I foster the growth and development of the people around me? It's very difficult to get buy-in if you don't first focus on who you're trying to get the buy-in from. So what a leader is really primarily responsible for helping persons, helping them, what am I asking them to do? What am I requiring of them? What do they need? What are they lacking? Are they comfortable? Am I listening to them? So it first has to be people driven, understanding that you are first there to serve. I think the other thing would be to have a very clear vision. We know that a ship without a sail is very unlikely to get to its destination. So what are your goals? What is the strategic direction that you're taking, a group, a community, or a company in? If you don't know where you're going, it's, know who is following you and why are they following you?
Yeah.
As a leader, you're a problem solver. You have to consistently be thinking, what are the problems? What solutions are best suited? You have to be consistently thinking about solving problems, not just identifying and passing the buck, but taking it by the reins and leading to determine, how do I fix this issue? And, finally, as a leader, in order for you to be effective, you have to be an eternal student. I often say, if you're in a group and you are the smartest, you have the most degrees, the most experience, you have the most money, you're the one who everybody comes to for advice, you are the person, then you're in the wrong group.
You're in the wrong group. Absolutely. You need to upgrade.
Yeah, it's important to be continuously examining who you're surrounded by, because those persons do influence you. You need to be learning and drawing from persons around you. So you can't be the best at everything. You need to be in those uncomfortable situations where you don't know and somebody else knows. That's how we continue to learn.
So true. So true. Absolutely. Lifelong learning for sure. So, on your journey, what coaching or mentoring? I always, believe that we all get some mentoring along the way. Any coaching or mentoring you've received on your journey?
I have been coached, and I do have a mentor today. But for me, coaching and mentoring, it looks like different things.
They are different. Yeah. There are differences.
So get caught up thinking that you need to have a lifelong mentor where you can pick up the phone and call if there's anything. But for me, I've had several people who've been able to guide me along the way, who've been able to offer advice. Most Guyanese know of the late retired Justice Duke Pollard. When I wasn't sure, I knew I wanted to do international law, but I said, I don't have to be a lawyer practice doing, the local bar. I just want to do my undergrad and get a master's. He said, no. He said, you're going to finish, you're going to go to law school, and then you can get your master's, because you first need that certification. He said, once you're a lawyer, no one takes that from you. And he encouraged me. He said, your grades are good. Don't give this up. Go through the full process. He's one of the primary reasons that I went to Hugh Wooding Law School, because I knew I didn't want to practice in the local courts. And, he shared so much of his career. He's an international lawyer who never practiced in the local courts, who rose to being a judge and, one of the greatest legal minds ever produced by Guyana. And I've always followed his journey very closely. And he's always encouraged me to keep with it. It's not something that the average lawyer will do, but it was definitely something worth pursuing. So he was always there as a symbol of what is possible for me. And, along the way, as I entered the legal profession, balancing that with for the foreign service, I've always drawn on seasoned diplomats where I work to get advice from them, because that's something I'm completely new to. And I never hesitate to pick up the phone and to ask, how do I approach this situation? How should I phrase this? I know what the law is, but I need to say it in a very diplomatic way. What should I say? And, I've been fortunate every opportunity I have. I'm a networker. I love networking. So I always look to create bonds, to make contacts. And a couple of years ago, I was on a training in international law in Chile. And I met a young international lawyer. His name is Professor Dapo Akande. He's Nigerian, but he lectures at the University of Oxford. And from 2019 to now, we've remained in touch. And if I'm ever faced with a difficult question, a difficult legal question, he's always there. And at one point, my work is so diverse, sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming. I called him and I said, how as an international lawyer do you really manage to have a command of so many areas of the law at any given time? And he really guided me through, these are the things that you need to do to remain on top of it. And he said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, it's not easy. He said, what you feel, we all feel it. It's not easy. And that's the importance, of really having a mentor, someone who's walked the path that you're now walking, who you can refer to, and they can reassure you that, what you're going through is not unusual, but it's just part of the process. So mentorship has really taken different forms for me, but I always seek opportunities to get guidance, to ask questions, because nobody knows everything. And I am very young into this, it's still the start of my career. So I recognize the importance of, getting advice.
Awesome. Yeah, we can always learn from someone else. And it's just, I guess, understanding that everyone goes through, no one really knows everything, and just having that reassurance, that encouragement,
Yes.
really, help you over the hump. So, but you haven't been, not that you've left high school that long, but what have you learned? Like, what do you know now that you wish you knew when you first left Queen's College?
Leaving with all my very, very big goals, a lot of plans. I'm a planner. I wish I knew that, success requires great courage and adaptability. I would have worried less. A lot of situations that confronted me would have been less stressful if I understood that the hurdles were just part of the journey. They were necessary parts of my growth. If I knew that, I think I would have faced them with a little more courage and, not had to learn stress management in my early 20s.
Oh, yes. So, you have a full life as a wife and an attorney. What do you do for fun? Hopefully you're having some fun in there, Kezia.
Oh, I have a lot of fun. Like I said, I learned the importance of stress management very early. So self-care is very important for me. It's a huge catchphrase now, but it's something that, I had to learn was a really important part of my health and well-being. So I'm a city girl, but I love getting out of the city. I love exploring. I love, just seeing new parts of Guyana. So I'm often on a road trip. I love the outdoors. So I get outside. I'm on road trips. I'm taking staycations. I'm running in the park. Once I'm outside, I get out. Once I need fresh air. So, I enjoy the outdoors, and I'm equally a foodie. So I'm often in the kitchen whipping up a new creation or sampling new restaurants with my husband and my family. So yeah, I like to enjoy life.
Just want to make sure you got some balance.
Yes.
Yeah, I know in Guyana, because we grew up on the coast. So whenever I visit, I try to go to Essequibo or somewhere, and it's almost like a different country.
Yes.
It's
yes.
so beautiful, so beautiful. So we're living in challenging times, here in the States and Guyana, everywhere, the pandemic and the economy, all those challenges. As you look to the future, what gives you hope?
It could be tough to think about the present and the future. When we see what's happening around the world, when we see what's happening in our communities. But what gives me hope is my faith in God, knowing His promises and remembering His promises. That keeps me grounded. And the other thing would be children.
Okay, yes.
I love working with children. I love being with children. I teach Sunday school and I'm a youth leader at my local church. And the next generation gives me hope. When you see their eyes, when you see their yearning to learn, when you see how inquisitive and curious they are, and you see their innocence, that gives me a lot of hope. I have confidence that every generation's responsibility is to do better than the last generation. And children, the smiles and the eyes, the faces of children, that gives me a lot of hope for the future.
Yeah. Our children are our heritage. Absolutely, absolutely. So what's next for you? What's next for Kezia?
Well, just being 4 years into my career, my focus is now really to continue to broaden my horizons a bit, really solidify myself in my role, and explore more of the field of international law. I also have not done a lot of community work in recent years because my focus has been on doing my education and building a career. And that's one of the primary focuses that I'll have over in the near future, over the next few years, to get back into community service because I love that. I did that for at least 10 years as a young person, and I really miss it. So I would be, looking at some community projects, working with some local groups, and seeing how best I can contribute in that way.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure they would appreciate that. Absolutely. So thank you so much. The time has flown by. Any parting words?
No, it's just been a pleasure to be here. And I guess if there's anything I would want, anyone listening to this to remember is that we're all made with a purpose. God has a purpose for each of our lives. It's important to find that purpose and to relentlessly pursue it. It could be difficult, but God's promises are through, his words are through. If he gives you a vision, like you said, he'll make the provision. So I guess I just want to encourage anyone to just go after whatever it is that God has placed in your heart, pursue it, and trust him to bring you to that expected end.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Thank you so much, Kezia.
Thank you for having me.